Must watch: Pinay lost consciousness in Wowowin after being reunited with lost daughter. A mother lost consciousness after reuniting with her runaway daughter in an episode of GMA's Wowowin. One of the contestants, Maylyn, expressed her intention of reuniting her mother and her sister who ran away. Maylyn narrated how her family lived separate ways and she expressed how painful it is for her. She said that she joined the contest hoping that it would pave way for her mother to forgive her sister, Erica, who ran away from their home. Maylyn's mother narrated that Erica originally lived with her while she is studying. She said that Erica left home, telling her mother that she will attend a birthday party. Erica never came back. Later they found out that Maylyn's 14-year-old sister ran away with her boyfriend. Moments later, Erica personally showed herself to her mother and their mother burst in tears. Erica asked her mother to forgive her. Upon seeing Erica, Maylyn's mother did not hesitate to hug her and accept her apology. Seconds after the emotional reunion, Maylyn's mother lost her consciousness and Wowowin host Willie Revillame called a medic for her. Meanwhile, the footage of their reunion went viral with 36K likes in a matter of 2 hours as it touched the hearts of many netizens. Invite you to watch the video. Must read: Dutertes Drug War decreased crime rate by 49%. President Rodrigo Duterte had been creating headlines not only in the local but as well as in the international community. From his strong personality to his colorful language, Duterte already attracted media attention, both positive and negative. One of which Duterte became popular in the international media is when he fearlessly lambasted the United States, the United Nations, and the European Union as he called them hypocrites for expressing concerns about the way he handles drugs in the country. Most of Duterte's controversial statements are being the highlight of the daily news people receive every day. However, if controversies are going to be put aside, many political analysts have to agree that President Duterte, dubbed as the Punisher by the Time magazine, already achieved so much during his first 100 days in the presidential seat. These achievements are evident in his war against drugs, which is the main focus of his administration. After he assumed the presidency, the Filipino people already felt the presence of his administration, which he assured as a bloody presidency when he was still campaigning for the 2016 national elections. Sources said that the Punisher actually gives shoot-to-kill orders against drug users or pushers who resist arrest. It can also be recalled that he offered million-peso rewards for those who would be able to capture dead or alive drug lords and major drug dealers. Nevertheless, this style of killing has sparked condemnation from human rights advocates. Some of them claim that killings have been rampant as rumors are spreading that drug lords are assassinating their own drug personnel to cover themselves and their acts. Given such cases, some of the self-confessed drug users and peddlers already surrendered as they fear for their lives. According to reports, 700,000 self-confessed drug users submitted themselves to the authorities within Duterte's first 100 days in the presidency. In connection to this, a mega rehabilitation center is set to be opened in Manila which could cater 10,000 patients. Moreover, drug laboratories and factories were closed and politicians connected with drugs were already named. It can be claimed that the anti-drug operations of the administration have been intensified basing on its results. Moreover, Police Chief Ronald De La Rosa claimed that most of the crimes happening in the country are drug-related. Since the administration has been focusing on the elimination of drugs in the country, the Punisher was also able to reduce the crime rate to 49%. Philippine National Police, PNP, Chief Director General Ronald De La Rosa gave credits to the government's war against drugs. This goes to show that most of these crimes that are happening in our communities are drug-related. That's why when we focused our resources and attention on the drug problem, crimes also dropped. Not only in drug-related problems did President Duterte show his achievements. Duterte's administration was also able to establish the first nationwide 911 emergency hotline that would cater to the needs of the Filipino people. In addition, the President was also able to provide the President's Hotline, which is 8888, for citizens who have concerns about government employees and agencies. The President was also able to give attention to business processes to lessen the corruption in the bureaucracy. Furthermore, Duterte was also able to reach out to the age-old rebellion from communists and Muslim rebel groups. Efforts are being made to construct peace talks between the government and these rebels. Meanwhile, Duterte's long list of plans for the country also includes a nationwide implementation of no-smoking policy and the construction of the country's first bullet train which will connect Subic and Clark. Sources said that the transportation plan is in partnership with a Chinese firm and will be discussed when the president visits China. Invite you to watch the video. President Duterte, first ever president to lend $40 million worth of help for typhoon victims in Batanes. Batanes is a small island on the upper part of the Philippines. It is the place mostly hit by typhoons. Another typhoon hit the island again where it appropriated damage worth about 1 billion pesos. President Rodrigo Duterte marks a new history after visiting Batanes to lend a hand for those typhoon victims. He visited to make sure that the funds given to the victims will be used for the rehabilitation of their province. It is the first ever event wherein the president himself visited Batanes just to help and not to campaign. This is how President Duterte shows his love to his people. This only means that he's fair to all Filipinos and that he is willing to help those who are in need. He immediately released $40 million for emergency shelter assistance for all the victims without any reservation. Watch the video and see how inspiring it is to see the president himself help the victims of typhoons. Invite you to watch the video. Nurse buys grocery wearing her scrubs, gets Bell TTLED for being just a nurse. Her response deserves a slow clap. When it comes to saving life, doctors are the ones who get all the credits and recognition. They are the one who spent years in studying their field of medicine and of course, the ones with the highest salary. But how about those who support them in their works? Those nurses and EMTs? They are doing the same thing, saving life of other people, together with the act of comforting and mending other individuals whether physically or emotionally. But the sad thing is that some people underestimate their job without knowing their sacrifices just to help those who are dying or unhurt. A nurse named Caitlin Brassington faced this discrimination when she met an acquaintance at the grocery store. She was wearing her nurse uniform when a woman seems to be surprised of Caitlin's, appearing to belittle Brassington's work. Well, it was not the fact that shocked the nurse but it is how the woman emphasized that she's just a nurse, saying like her job has no importance in the society and the medical industry. That's the reason why she decided to share her story and fire back through social media through listing all the sacrifices that every nurse all over the world is doing. Here is how she cooed her feelings with her profession being just a nurse. Just a nurse. I am just home from a busy shift, looking very ordinary in my scrubs. On the way home today I stopped at the shop for milk and saw an acquaintance. She has never seen me in uniform and said that she didn't realize I was just a nurse. Wow! Over my 18-year career I have heard this phrase many, many times, but today it got to me. Am I just a nurse? I have helped babies into the world, many of whom needed assistance to take their first breath, and yet I am just a nurse. I have held patients' hands and ensured their dignity while they take their last breath, and yet I am just a nurse. I have grieving parents after the loss of a child, and yet I am just a nurse. I have performed CPR on patients and brought them back to life, and yet I am just a nurse. I am the medical officer's eyes, ears and hands with the ability to assess, treat and manage your illness, and yet I am just a nurse. I can every lung field on a newborn and assess which field may have a decreased air entry, and yet I am just a nurse. I can educate patients, carers, and junior nurses, and yet I am just a nurse. I am my patient's advocate in a health system that does not always put my patient's best interest first, and yet I am just a nurse. I will miss Christmas days, my children's birthdays, and school musicals to come to work to care for your loved one, and yet I am just a nurse. I can take blood, cannulate and suture a wound, and yet I am just a nurse. I can manage a cardiac arrest in a newborn, a child or an adult, and yet I am just a nurse. I can tell you the dosage of adrenaline or amiodarone based on weight that your child may need to bring them back to life, and yet I am just a nurse. I have the experience and knowledge that has saved people's lives. So, if I am just a nurse, then I am ridiculously proud to be one. Invite you to watch the video. Thailand's King to-be is starting from a position of weakness in the country's volatile politics. Wowowin, Thailand's King for the past 70 years, died on Thursday in the hospital where he and the Queen have had to spend much of the last 2 years. His death came a few weeks shy of his 89th birthday. The King had not been able to perform his duties effectively for some time. The duties of the monarch evidently have been administered by the palace, with the advice of the Privy Council and especially of its president, Prem Tinsulananda. The late King had chosen his son, Crown Prince Maha Vajiralongkorn, to succeed him. But Vajiralongkorn has asked for some time to grieve before assenting. This curiously leaves Thailand without a monarch, although Prem is able to act as king in waiting. Such an indeterminate state of affairs is not unusual in Thailand, where such is the interim constitution that part of the 2007 constitution had to be enlisted to handle the succession. A battle for respect. The king was held in respect by the Thai people in general. They had a genuine and deep affection for him. Thousands of people waited at Sarai Hospital to escort the king's body to the Grand Palace. Bhumibol was held to epitomize Buddhist Dharma, or the principles of moral order and self-discipline identified with Buddhism. Bhumibol's authority among the people was extensive. However, some of the basis for this authority, such as his pretension to having articulated a sound prescription for economic self-sufficiency and the conceit that he was even-handed in his treatment of partisan politics, were shaky. In contrast, his successor enters his reign with no authority other than that of the office he will hold. It is hard to imagine that Vajiralongkorn will have any more power than he will have authority, except perhaps the potential for social and cultural destruction. Some commentators have entertained the notion that at the beginning of the 21st century, Thailand's then Prime Minister Thaksin Shinawatra sought somehow to convince Vajiralongkorn to agree to step down as monarch on succeeding his father, to enable the founding of a republic. In recent times, it has become clear that Prayuth Chan-o-cha's military government has come to an agreement with Vajiralongkorn that is hardly likely to lead to a republic. The military government is said to have defended its flanks recently, in the annual reshuffle of senior officers, from rumored indications that there may be rebellion within the army. The Crown Prince is 3 times divorced. His adult life in Thailand has left a trail of detritus. State of political play adds challenges. In the Thai ideal, the balance of king, Buddhism and nation is critical to maintaining social and political order. Even in ideal circumstances, though, one would not be wise to hold one's breath waiting for Vajiralongkorn to play his part as king. Thailand's status quo includes the dominant military. Against such dominance Vajiralongkorn is very unlikely to be able to assert a voice for the monarchy, even if he were to want to. A junta, the National Council for Peace and Order, is in control of Thailand's government. An interim constitution gives effectively dictatorial powers to the Prime Minister under Section 44. What passes for a parliament, the National Legislative Assembly, has recently been expanded by the inclusion of more military officers. The leadership of the business community is resolutely silent as far as one can tell, despite the government's failure to promote growth. A new constitution passed in a referendum in August will maintain military rule for at least 5 years after the new constitution is made law. In the meantime, even political parties cannot assemble to discuss policy or strategies, although the ban is likely to be removed before the first elections under the new constitution, scheduled for next year, are held. The leader of the Red Shirts, the United Front for Democracy Against Dictatorship, the most united opposition force, lost an appeal in June against a 2-year prison term. Faced with an increasingly assertive military government and a monarch with little taste or skill for the job, it would be little wonder if the people begin to murmur with stronger voices as the dust settles. Gavin Butler is an honorary associate in political economy at the University of Sydney. This article was originally published on The Conversation. Read the original article. Thank you for watching videos. You remember the likes and comments below. Thanks.